Now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session on the Digital Campus and Cloud for Education, along with our partner, CollPoll. My name is Durga Prasad. I'm from Amazon, and I'm the host for today's webinar. This is a listen-only webinar. The Q&A session will be in the last 10 minutes of the session. If you have any questions, please submit them by clicking on the questions icon on your right of the window. We'll be taking up these questions after the fireside chat completes. This webinar is hosted in collaboration with Amazon Web Services, a cloud service provider in India and across the globe. We work with education customers in India, such as institutions, edtech startups, research organizations, schools, and their partners. There are more than 11,000 educational customers across the globe using AWS today. IIT Bangalore, IIIT Bangalore, or Indian Institute of Science, Manipal, GTU are some of the customers in India. So while using this technology in universities and campuses is no longer in use, there is a new set of problems and opportunities that this pandemic situation threw at us. The cloud computing is the need of the hour to build and deliver highly available, scalable, secure, and cost-effective solutions and services in the fastest and reliable way to create that really positive experience. We have many more examples of such solutions and institutions. In the last 3 months, we've seen those universities and colleges and edtechs who actually embraced the cloud journey in the early stages, able to smoothly transition into the blended education and learning model. But at the same time, there are also others who actually suffered with scalability issues and system crashes and performance issues. So the security breaches, so not able to engage the faculty and student effectively. So if you have any questions about how to run the universities more effectively in these kind of challenging times, on changing times, and how to improve the student engagement, this is the right place. So today, we are excited to co-host this webinar with CollPoll, a world-class enterprise technology platform for education institutions, trusted by the best universities and institutions such as OP Jindal Global University, Ashoka University, MIT Academy of Engineering, and BML Munjal University, among others. So we have 3 guests today. One is Hemant Sahal, is the founder and CEO of CollPoll. And second one is our second guest is Dr. Mahesh Gowder, who is the director at MIT Academy of Engineering. And the third one is Karan Kumar, is the head of IT at OP Jindal Global University. So before we get started, I would like to request Hemant to introduce CollPoll briefly and to kickstart this webinar.
Thank you, Durga. Thank you for giving us a great start, and I'm hoping everybody can see the screen. More than hello these days, we are asking each other, can we see our screens or can you hear me? So a new hello in the virtual world. So very, very glad to be here, and welcome to all the participants. I'm looking forward to an amazing discussion session. To introduce CollPoll, we are a campus management, digital learning, and examination platform. The platform is completely hosted on the AWS cloud in private servers, so we are a multi-instancing model. And the platform is not just available on web, it's also available on iOS app and Android apps, which are native apps. The platform is a suite of about 40 plus technologies, which are distributed across a campus management ERP, digital classes and AI proctored examinations, workflow automation engines, and campus collaboration and engagement. And I'll share very quickly about each one of them. The idea is not to just provide you a software, but be your technology partner. So provide you what already exists and continuously add new functionalities and solve new problems that you would want to get addressed. We want to make sure we integrate all different IT solutions. So be it your accounting solutions like Tally, biometrics, payment gateways, admission automation CRMs, or multiple technologies, because as institutions get more technology savvy in future, you would need to use multiple systems that need to talk to each other and provide you data analytics in the way you would want. Each institutions want to slice and dice the data in their own ways. So ensure that the data analytics is completely personalized to each institution. The idea is from the time a student is coming and becoming, and applying to you to the time the student graduates, the whole journey is taken care, and the students have a technology-driven experience in the campus at multiple levels. So I'll specifically quickly give you a brief on what do we provide you in the campus management ERP side. So whatever administrative workflows do you have, whether it is records of staff and students and faculty members, admission, fees and dues management integrated with your accounting solutions like Tally, hostel management, canteen automation, infrastructure management, or parent logins where parents can have access to essential information and access to services that they might want to interact with campus on. Moving on the digital learning and examination side, we provide you an end-to-end academic management system, including curriculum, timetable, examination management, and a very powerful learning management system with lesson plans, assignment and live quizzes, integration with video tools of your choice, whether you want to use Zoom or Google Meet or any other platform that you would, we will be able to integrate that. Online discussions and polling, and outcome-based education for your accreditation and accuracy purpose, and student and faculty e-portfolios. The idea is to provide an engaging environment for your students to be able to have fun while they're learning. So combining pre-recorded videos with discussion forums and different kind of assessments like quizzes and assignments is something that you have on the LMS side. On a proctoring side of examinations, you can conduct online tests which are proctored by the system itself. So students are tracked, the images are taken, multiple faces, whether the same student is giving the examination or somebody else is giving examination on their behalf. And it happens in a full screen mode. So making sure there are all essential checks in place for fairness of examinations. And this is directly connected to our examination management system. So the important part here is that how your timetabling is connected to learning management, how learning management system is connected to assessments, and how your larger examination management system is connected to your online testing solution. Quickly moving on the workflow automation engine side, every institution has hundreds of workflows which either happen on WhatsApp or email or in person. So we automate. This is a workflow engine, which means that what I'm showing you are just some dummy services. You can automate any workflow without any additional cost. There could be hundreds of workflows that you can automate, right from IT help desk to hostel services, and this is powered by tools like QR codes, so you can achieve a contactless campus, feedbacks, so that you know what are the quality of services that you're providing in your campus, real-time chatting, so administrators and the requesters don't need to go to any other platform for interaction and communication, and coming in with auto escalation to ensure there's accountability in each department in the campus. So with this, at the moment, we have about 1,000+ different workflows that we automate across hostels, grievances, no dues, venue bookings, IT help desk, visitor passes, and so much more. Quickly moving to the campus collaboration and engagement side, the idea is to provide you a platform which is a combination of, let's say, a WhatsApp or Facebook, where you can engage your students, give them e-notices, have one-to-one communication between faculty, mentor, and students, or student to faculty who's teaching a subject to them in that term, discover events, campus news, and be able to take polls and surveys very quickly in a very easy way, so that the rate of submissions are much higher than normally when you conduct it through open source survey tools. So the idea is to provide you a campus social network powered by event management tools, e-notices, clubs and chapter management, creating as many online communities as you may want to, and having a search engine on top of it. All this is hosted on advanced, secure, and cloud servers of Amazon. So AWS provides us the kind of security that's required to make sure that your data is safe and secure and users can use it. It also allows us to provide you technology which can scale. So using things like Lambda for heavy file uploads and converting your videos into streamable formats. So all of that is completely, so thanks to AWS for the wonderful platform they've been providing us to scale seamlessly. The last thing which I wanted to share is when you use CollPoll, we bundle multiple different things that you've been using in the institution, which fragments the experience and data and the whole information available in the campus to a single platform. And what happens with that is what we call as the CollPoll effect, where we help you achieve academic excellence, student success, substantially reduce administrative costs, improve your resource utilization because you have invested so much in different resources and facilities which your students or your faculty members may not be even using properly. Administrative efficiency, making sure things are happening in a complete and timely way. And finally, today's students are very empowered in their personal lives by technology. They're using Make My Trip, Instagram, WhatsApp, Swiggy, Uber, so many different technologies, and their expectations today are that their institutions will also provide them technologies which are easy to use, mobile app driven, scalable, and very seamless in terms of they don't need to go to 2, 3, 4 different platforms for different activities. So having good technology helps you establish a stronger brand. So with that, I will close. We work with some of the best institutions. This is something important because we have chosen our partner institutions very carefully. We work with some of the best names in the country like Ashoka, OP Jindal, David Patil International University, Shobit, IHMR, Jharkhand Lake City, Chitkara, and several others. So with that, thank you to AWS for creating this opportunity where we can have this dialogue. We are very excited about this conversation and the conversations that will continue beyond this webinar. Over to you, Durga.
Yeah, thank you, Hemant. Really appreciate that. I think if I look back 20 years back, how we used to learn versus how the current generation is learning, obviously there is a big difference with the availability and accessibility of the tools. I totally agree, and I'm kind of really interested to see that the portfolio of services that you have. So let me ask this question to you, Karan. So Karan, Jindal Global University is a fully residential campus, right? It's known for its progressive use of technology. Can you share briefly about your stack and how you leveraged modern technology to reimage the overall campus experience?
Thanks, Durga. I completely agree with you here. Yes, JGU is very progressive when it comes to the use of technology, and the university has been very open when it comes to investing into tech, be it hardware, software, or manpower for that matter. Since you talked about stack, the techie inside me really wants to mention how we extensively use Laravel and React to build our internal application, and these applications are hosted on virtual Linux servers on AWS. Getting back to what would be more relevant to the crowd, we have built some custom applications that would help us smoothen certain administrative functions for the university. Moreover, we have an in-house academic management system that completely takes care of our digital academic operations and examinations. For internal reporting, data visualization, and analysis, we depend a lot on Power BI. And when it comes to campus management and automation, we leverage a lot of features which are provided by CollPoll. We at JGU, every year we try to transition a lot of paper-based services to completely paperless with digital record keeping, and for the same we leverage the campus help center feature of CollPoll also, as Hemant just mentioned about the workflow automation bit. The most important aspect of this service that a lot of tech people may understand is the ease of spawning a new service without writing another piece of code, a form builder plus if you may. Using these services, we have automated many of our human-intensive operations, and these automations have help us easily collect and manage specific data points, and the data in turn helps us analyze the patterns of use of the services available on campus. So we at JGU have 9 hostels right now, and the 10th one is coming up. And you understand how human intensive these things are. If I were to tell you out of the blue that you must have only 2 hostel cleaning folks on duty on a Wednesday afternoon, as opposed to 5 on a regular shift, would you believe in my prophecy? No, right? I mean, why would you? But fortunately for me, I have concrete data to back my argument up, and out of thin air, we can just utilize the remaining 3 manpower for other jobs. This is just an example of how we can use the data that we generate to our benefits. And we are using the health center service extensively across the campus for different services, and the data generated through this is humongous and very precious. If I were to if I were to bring up more use cases that we cater to using advanced technology, I would like to especially mention a couple more which we see the highest usage across the campus, and within a short span of time, these features have become the showstopper at the university. As I mentioned earlier, JGU is a completely residential campus and has 5 canteens that are accessible to students where they can go and consume their meals. Before the automation, the students would queue up to get their plates after writing their details manually in a register. Let's see how technology intervenes here. The students in their mobile apps get the coupon code for the different meals that are served throughout the day. They just walk up to the plate counter, enter the coupon code. There's a ding sound, and that's that. You get a plate. Now you must be thinking what it did for us. Reconciling the data that was written in those registers was a pain. There are no financials directly involved with the students, but between the university and the food provider, there is. Reconciling such humongous, unmanaged, and at times illegible data was a nightmare. Especially when you have to pay for every row which is written in the register. Secondly, queues. Now, as I mentioned before, there are 5 canteens. After implementing the automation, we have enough data that tells us the occupancy in every canteen at any given point in time. We just plugged that data into a visual format, created an occupancy meter for the canteens, and started displaying that page on different TV screens around the university and the mobile app again as well on CollPoll. This helped us, in uniformly distributing the crowd to different locations and optimally use our physical infrastructure and resources. This is going to be brought up again, but to refresh everyone's memory, JG is a completely residential campus. With that, it brings a lot of inflow and outflow of students throughout the day, and JGU especially takes the security of the students very seriously. With the help of CollPoll, we designed a software-based crowd management system, and I'm sure a lot of you might be thinking at the moment, why not just install airport or metro light style barriers there? I completely understand and appreciate your thought, but to be honest, this was the first approach we thought of before we started thinking out of the box. The flow is simple. The students apply for a gate pass, get it approved from their parents if need be, and move towards the main gate. They just tap their JGU ID cards on the RFID machine which is installed there at the main gate, and the security guard just understands if the student is allowed to go out or not. Moving to the benefits of this system, at any given point in time, we know how many students are inside the campus, how many students are going to be inside the campus the next day. Again, this comes back to how much food we need to prepare for the next day. At any given point in time, we can know if a particular student is inside the campus or not, for security reasons, of course. Without going through thousands of rows in a physical register. We also managed to get rid of a lot of queues at the main gate that were there during the rush hours, and it becomes really easy to maintain a list of the latecomers. It's easy to search, and we ended up saving a good sum of money by not investing in the hardware. Back to you, Durga.
Yeah, thank you, Karan. I think with 9 hostels and 5 canteens, I was trying to imagine about how many logistics and back and forth things can be happening. But it's very interesting to know that there is a lot of automation built into it to ease that work. Thank you for it. I appreciate that. So my next question to Dr. Mahesh. The MIT Academy of Engineering is an autonomous institution, right? A privilege that not many institutions have. So how have you utilized this freedom to enhance the learning experience of your students, and has technology played any role in it?
Thank you, Durga. Thank you, CollPoll, for giving this particular opportunity to share our experience about autonomy. We became autonomy in the year 2016-17. It was a very big challenge as soon as we were conferred the autonomy. One of the biggest challenge was to identify the industrial requirements. We found that there is a lot of difference between what the industry expects and what the education system provides in the traditional system. So after having understood this gap, we were in a dilemma how to address these issues, because most of the industrial expectations were related to Industry 4.0, which were the recent digital skills. And our traditional education system was slightly more aligned toward theoretical learning. So there was something called as Education 4.0, which addressed the requirements of Industry 4.0. Especially this Education 4.0 concentrated on creative classroom, collaborative learning, because most of the real world problems which require to be solved are not dependent on one course of engineering. They're dependent on multiple disciplines. So it is a bigger challenge to how do you address this collaborative learning in the class. Third important point was the communication. How do you communicate? Because students may be good in just writing skills, but one of the important skill was the team skills, because when they're doing the real world problems, they need to understand how to communicate among the team more effectively. These were some of the challenges. But however, when we look to the research aspect also, how the world is moving toward this, we found that there are a lot many ways to address these issues. Some of the thing was using the technology to address these issues, because in a traditional classroom, the students are sitting, and it was a mere concept in the olden days that if the class is engaged for 1 hour, we thought that the teacher is very effective, but it is not the case. It's more of the important, it's more of the learning that happens in the class. And I feel this is not possible without the use of that technology, especially in the bigger classrooms. So having said this, we were required to, because we are autonomous, we were required to use something called the OBE framework, wherein our learning was related to outcome-based education system. So for this, there was a lot of training that was required to happen for the faculty as well as the first students also. It is not a much difficulty for the students to adopt to this technology because the younger generations are tech savvy, but it is more problem to the faculty members. But however, they too got adapted to this particular learning skills. There were a lot many certification courses. There are a lot many things that the faculty got they got acquainted to. So this helped us to this helped on three important aspects of effective education. First was the design, that is to design the curriculum. Then second was the delivery of the curriculum, and third was the assessment aspect. And these three put together are very important for a very effective learning process. And having said this, even learning outside the classroom is a very big challenge, because we learn engineering is not a thing that which can be learned by listening or just by studying in the classroom. No, engineering is more about learning by doing, experiencing that experimental learning, experiencing that project-based learning, and all this. It's easy to say, but when it comes to the matter of assessment, it is going to be a very big challenge. So we used some of the well-established tools and techniques of the research, called as the Bloom taxonomy, wherein we have got different levels of learning, and we could have this particular this assessment easily possible. And that's how we use this autonomy, and along with the blend of technology, we made it very effective. And we are really enjoying this. Not only we, along with the students, also enjoying this particular learning process. Thank you. Back
Thank
to
you,
Durga.
Dr. Mahesh. Thank you, Dr. Mahesh. Really appreciate that. I think the design, delivery, and assessments are needed for this effective learning. I really like that term, Education 4.0, like the Industry 4.0. I think it is needed. Thank you. So in fact, before I go to my next question, I just want for audience to pay attention to that screen. We'll just take a quick poll. We'll move on to second set of questions. We'll actually take a quick poll. Please answer the question. We'll have those 2 or 3 more polls going to be coming in. Please answer them to get a better point of view and understanding of your needs and your your current state. Okay, so now moving on to the next question. I think in general, if you look at in the last few months, have been challenging for everyone, right? Globally, there are about 1.5 billion students are out of campuses. While campuses might have shut down, but universities are not. So let us talk about how have you embraced that new normal and how did you manage the change? So I want to ask this question to Dr. Mahesh again. Dr. Mahesh, how much did it take for you to be able to transition to this virtual or remote mode of teaching? Can you walk us through that last 10 weeks and share some best practices for the folks?
Yes. Thank you, Durga. Basically, there were it was not that a difficult thing for us to transit from the regular classroom to the virtual classroom, because when we had gone autonomous, we were already prepared to face these particular challenges. So the faculty were under training, they were already under that particular process of transition that is getting modified to the new requirement of the industry. So change is a part of your life now. So it's all left to us whether we are going to adapt or not. In case you don't adapt to the changing requirements, then very soon we are going to be obsolete. So this transition, because of the acceptance by the students, because of acceptance by the faculty members, it is not a challenging, but however, I would like to highlight this particular change that we adopted, or the transition that happened into 4 important phases. First phase was the LMS. It is nothing but the learning management system. If you find the older classes, we used to take down our notes or read from the book. But now the technology is so changed and the contents of the curriculum are so changing fast that textbooks are really obsolete. By the time the book is printed, it has become obsolete. So it's more important that we transition from a printed textbook to definitely to the more relevant online learning material. So this is made helpful by the LMS system that is called the learning management systems, which is more user friendly from the faculty point of view to share with the students, and also very useful from the students' perspective, where you can easily download and read it to their convenience. One of the important points that has to be noticed is the listening capacity of any student. It's not me who is telling it, the research which is telling that the listening capacity for any of the person is varying rightly from 10 to 15 minutes. And if somebody is listening to something for more than 15 minutes, he's not concentrating at that particular point. So there is a lot of need to bring that particular change from the monotonous learning. So this learning management system helps us a lot in that particular aspect. So in this respect, we are able to share our pre-recorded videos. That is, the students are able to listen to the classes, what I'm going to teach in the class. So they listen to that, and in fact, those pre-recorded classes have got some quizzes, they're embedded questions. So as a teacher, I come to know whether really the students are right in the background or not. This is just possible because of the technology. Also, when I talk about assignment, I talked about just Bloom taxonomy. There are various methods, there are various approaches. So there is a need for discussion, there is a need for graded discussion, there is a need for peer learning in order to learn those particular additional tools or to learn from the peers. So this is all possible because of the learning system. Of course, the participation in the classes is very important. So when in the previous traditional system, when we saw that the attendance of the class is 100%, we said, wow. But that is not the case. But how effectively the students are listening? Can you use the technology to address those particular issues? Whether the student is participating, whether the student is attentive, all this is possible because of the use of the technology. So this is quite possible because of the LMS. Even you have got sometimes even post quizzes also. What is the learned? Whether teacher is expecting that the student should learn something after the class, but have the students really learned it? That will be taken through possible through the live quizzes. And of course, in the internal class, we use something called as polls to understand whether the student is really attentive or not. The technology tells us and gives the information about each and every student. So you can even link the student across the sessions of the classes. He was attentive in my last class. What about in this class? I gave him the feedback in the last class to be attentive, but did he correct himself? So this particular thing is just possible based on the technology, and it is left to us whether you want to adapt to this particular technology that is available to us or not. Then the second important point I would like to concentrate upon is the EMS. This is nothing but the examination management systems, where the because now the different courses have a different approach. They are having a different outcomes. So you can't conduct the assessment just by one type of typical, like a previous traditional system, question and answer paper. No, the teacher can adapt to his own activity-based assessment and evaluate it, and that is possible because of the EMS. And of course, even when there are quizzes, the technology takes care that the students do not get the same questions or the same sequence. The questions are scrambled, and so it's not easily possible, and they are already time based. Even if you tick the, even if you try to do that, you will fall short of the time, and there is very less chance that the student can manipulate themselves or do some unethical thing. This is just not possible because of the technology. And now lastly, of course, there is also a feature of proctored examination where the students, because now we are virtual, we do not come to know who exactly is giving the examination. So the snapshot are taken and really fed. Even the very lot of changes that are happening on the screen, that all can be monitored. If a network connectivity goes up during giving the examination, the login file will be maintained. The information go to the control room wherein they can really validate what the student is telling, right or wrong. So this is how this gives us. And coming to the third important point is OBE, which I already talked about. Of course, being most of the institutions now, NBA and NAC these are the important requirements for most of the engineering colleges. So it is very important for us to do all this measure this outcome-based education. Outcome means we have to measure what we have promised to give them to the students. So there is really a requirement of the 360-degree feedback that is supposed to happen. And if at all you try to do it manually, most of the efforts goes from the of the faculty members who they have to spend in the learning interaction of the students in coaching. It goes waste, so they'll not be able to put their efforts into that. So using this particular technology, it really helps out in saving that particular time, and even the students are having a chance to interact with the faculty off the line. So teacher is available to the students 24/7, so it gets recorded and you will be able to answer to the convenience. And lastly, of course, we have got even IQAC there. It's all the assessment. We are in a step of a continual improvement, so we are not static. We have got our own benchmark, so we improve. And once we improve, we go to the next level, like a spiral improvement. We try to always improve. And this particular data analytics that you are getting, the results, the Bloom taxonomy, the outcomes that you are getting, in case we don't use this particular for the this technology cannot replace the teacher. Teacher is bound to be there. They are the integral part of the system. But blending the teaching with the technology is really going to help us to be more effective, and will be delivering what the industry requires. This is what I would like to share as part of the transition from the traditional classroom to the technical based learning, technology based learning.
That's a very comprehensive, Dr. Mahesh. Really appreciate throwing that in a very structured approach from OBE to LMS to UMS to the other areas. So, and I think the attention span of a time, I think thing is actually kind of reducing. It's not anymore 15 minutes. Actually, I think it's less than between 7 to 10 minutes now, depending on the age and type of student, of course. And it does, I think in those kind of times, it's important to be able to have those on-demand accessibility so that any student can learn anytime, anywhere. If they want to revise some of the awesome lectures delivered, they can always go back and review them. Thank you. So let me ask the question to Karan. Karan, while many institutions claim that they were able to complete the syllabus in time, some of the social media saw a lot of resentment from the students, right? So it could be sometimes be transactional, from a virtual environment point of view. How do you overcome these kind of things?
Thanks, Durga. I completely understand the students' viewpoint when they share their resentment over attending classes online. We all need to understand that online education brings a lot more challenges than we perceive, especially non-technical challenges. online education, just like self-study, expects a lot of maturity and discipline on the students' part. With lenient attendance norms now and the recording being available for the lectures, the feeling of procrastination grows. Moreover, one thing that we should not ignore is that the students are going through one of the most social times of their lives, and they are instructed to stay indoors. And after and that too after enjoying certain freedoms that an independent hostel life brings. I would like to smile, wipe that smirk, but that is the truth. This is ought to bring down some the motivation levels. However, I also feel that a lot of teachers didn't have enough time to prepare for such an event, and there is no denying the fact though that they stood their ground when the storm hit, and they really transformed the physical classroom into a digital one in an excellent manner. Now since we have to do this again for the foreseeable future at least, and now that the inertia is broken of using the digital tools, I would say that we need to use these tools more effectively. One as Dr. Mahesh just mentioned, one is the extensive use of an LMS. Teachers might have used multiple platforms to share resources, assignments, maybe pre-reads with the students, and accept online submissions for that matter. These might have been on either email or online drives or even WhatsApp for that matter. While these tools are great at what they do, but these do not let you manage the data in a way that can be efficiently retrieved for later use, or it doesn't organize the data in a way that can reduce the cognitive load while using the tools. Using an LMS to conduct the courses online would drastically improve the entire experience of an online classroom, and make the transition more seamless, I guess. And if we can move to asynchronous learning using an LMS, you might just increase the classroom time for more social interaction with or just the classroom interaction with the students, as Dr. Mahesh rightly pointed out. Another point I'd say is engaging the students outside the class. We really need to be connected with the students and give them a sense of belonging. Moreover, we need to enable the transaction among students. Let's say if I were teaching a strategy and mergers class to my MBA students, with the recent developments in one of the Indian company which has been able to do some strategic partnerships with 3 of the biggest tech giants in the world, would this be some food for thought for students? Would this be some food for thought for the discussion that can happen? Can I create a discussion around for my class? I'm just going to leave this one open-ended here and move on. And when we talk about enabling transactions among students, another thing comes to mind. We may just play around with the pedagogy a bit and introduce more student-led group projects and assignments, which may again provide some sense of belongingness. Now, when I say all this, these are all experiments, that we may need to run. We need to think like a product manager, trying to increase the usage of a certain product, or the features that we have built on a product. When we do that, we need to install some monitoring as well, because when we move fast, when we change a lot of things, we at the same time break a lot of things. It's important to keep on churning the data, keep on gathering the feedback and see if we've been successful or not. Back to you, Durga.
Thank you, Karan. In fact, you're right. I think nobody wrote a book about how to survive the pandemic situations, while the campuses are shut down. So it's a difficult situation, and everybody is adapting at their best of their abilities. And in fact, that are we at least getting best out of whatever is available is the question now. And I think everyone understands that no one can replace the faculty and physical experience that the 4 walls has in terms of interactivity. That itself, no one can do it. But can we at least get real and get even better with the technology? Can we use, can we continue our learning while we have these boundaries are set by somebody whom we don't have a control on? I think that's the question that we need to ask ourselves, and that will give us a lot more ability for us to do it. Okay, it's time for a next set of quick poll. So we'd like to open the forum for that and ask a question from the attendees. So I'll just take about 30 seconds before I go to my next set of questions. Meanwhile, if I'm going to be opening up for Q&A in the next 5 minutes, 6 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, please post the questions, and I'll take them up, in the next 6 to 7 minutes. Right. Great. So I think the other one which I want to talk about really about this, the new modern technologies and everyone talking about everything. It's like a buzzword, right? Modern technology is a buzzword. So, and when these pandemic situations come with last 3 months and all, a lot of the companies have come out recently and institutions are being bombarded with the marketing mails and calls. In fact, the virtual conferencing solution, because there's nothing else there, so the virtual conference solutions became the classroom solutions, where people actually unmute themselves and then kind of go crazy on these difficult part. Because I mean, if you know about what these are step-by-step process, then everybody would follow it. Nobody knew. I think everybody just trying to find out what is there and available and going there. So again, I think let's talk about those key metrics when evaluating a technology fees for the right use case. I think that's what we want to do. So quickly, since we only have about another 5 to 7 minutes and we have a lot of interesting questions coming up. Hemant, for you, CollPoll works with a many diverse set of institutions in India and outside India as well. So what are those key parameters institutions have evaluated CollPoll from on that? Can you throw some light?
Yeah. Thanks, Durga. I think very important question, and there are two different worlds there. Institutions which ask the right questions, which are very rare, and a lot of institutions who ask the wrong questions, right? So, for example, a lot of times we've seen the institutions straight away ask, how many modules do you have? They don't care what do you have in them. How many modules do you have? What are you charging? And that's it, right? So the comparison is, this guy has got 40 modules, this has got 50 modules, this is at XYZ, this is a little extra. Okay, great. Let's take. So, but today I want to talk about more the right metrics to evaluate technology. And there are a lot of good experiences we have had working with institutions who have evaluated technology, in a very scientific way. And two of them are here, including Jindal University and MIT Academy of Engineering. So I think institutions have to really look at the comprehensiveness of technology, because institutions cannot afford to also have too many broken systems, because data needs to flow into each other seamlessly, and not every institution has the technical capabilities to keep integrating everything all the time. So for example, I see institutions struggling to run an LMS because their timetable data is not connected to LMS. Faculty is manually entering the data. The LMS system is not connected to the examination management system. So again, the data is flowing between an LMS to EMS in an Excel sheet, right? So how comprehensive is the product? And does that product integrate with other important technologies that you would need to use? CRMs, accounting solutions, and others. Third, which is most important, and I think the most neglected parameter, is user experience. See, when a technology leader or an IT head of an institution is taking a decision, most often they have a checklist which they're trying to, just make sure is getting met. They don't care for the user experience of those functionalities, but the end users, which are students and faculty members, actually end up they end up suffering because of that. So now institution has invested in a technology, the user experience is not good, they don't find it usable, but the institution has already taken it. The IT head is now continuously saying no. The IT head keeps forcing them to use it. People don't find it usable, right? So that's, I think, one of the key things, which is user experience. And last thing is, I think we have to stop looking at the cost part of the technology, but the return on investment. It doesn't matter whether you're spending 150 rupees or 1000 rupees. What matters is what's the return you're getting on it. And I think the good institutions look at the technology from that lens, that if I'm going to put X, what am I getting in return? So rather than just absolutely looking at the cost, good institutions have evaluated technology from the return on it. So if I have to sum up this, because we have very less time, I think one, comprehensiveness. Second, the ability to integrate with other solutions so that the data is in a single state. Third, user experience, especially the mobile apps, because today's generation is all on mobile. It's affordable. Internet is more easily available there. And fourth, the last thing, which is what kind of return is it giving to the institution, and are those returns measurable, that you can measure that, okay, I've got this value out of this technology that I've invested in. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Hemant. I think the user experience is important, and I think you should look at the cost, but or the return on investment. But I think that requires a more meaningful way, more from a student outcome and engagement point of view, and not really about the number of features. In fact, I've seen that with this sudden surge that came in, LMSs have been used as the lot of large examinations without the scale. When 5,000 students join and taking a test, LMS is not designed to be able to handle such a big concurrency. It will destined to fail. So you have to design in such a way that to be able to address those questions. I think that's what the learnings. I think people are started to understanding, realizing it. I do have several other questions I want to ask Karan and Dr. Mahesh, but I'm going to jump to a lot of questions coming from our panel or our audience. Before I go to the Q&A, and I just want to have one more quick poll before we jump onto the next set of questions. Okay, so I assume you're done with those. Let me ask you some of the questions, and again, Dr. Mahesh and Karan, if you could just brief as much as possible so that we can ask more questions and more audience one. There is actually one very interesting question from Neeraj Upadhyaya. This question is to Dr. Mahesh when he was talking about the assessments and delivery and education 4.0. How are you, Dr. Mahesh, how are you ensuring that the assessment, feedback, and evaluation across the formative and summative assessments is actually recursive? Does it make sense?
Oh, this is a very good question. In fact, we use both summative and formative type of assessment. It's very important. We call it as, in a simple words, we call it as continual assessment. That is, we need to ensure that the students learn in continuity. So that is how, what I told about it, we plan the lecture, we plan the classes lecture wise. So each and every lecture is mapped to what is called as TLO. Okay, so learning objectives for each of the class. So that helps us in making the overall outcome of the course very effective. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mahesh. This is good. So my next question to Hemant. Hemant, this question is from Kashi. I'm a geospatial technology trainer. I wonder how to handle interactive practical sessions to verify 3D vision of a participant in online digital campus.
Okay, so if the question is whether you want to identify the participant or the student.
No, I wonder how to handle interactive practical session to verify 3D vision of a participant online digital campus. Yeah, I think the question was like kind of twisted. So I think it's more of a 3D vision means basically a participant is on the other side, and how do you actually handle interactivity? How do you bring this more practical and approach to while we are engaging the student? I think that's how I understand.
Yeah. So quick answer would be, I think CollPoll has not yet got into the AR and the VR space. But at the moment, what tools we have seen being very effectively used, like Dr. Mahesh mentioned, is how you can do quick rolls to gamify the interactions, and gamification has certain fundamental blocks, which is competition, collaboration, right, and incentives, where for example badging can become very important. That every time there's an activity, right after that, how can you use badges to reward people? How can you create competition by showing the live scores of the quizzes to everybody, that it gets gamified, and people can get into a little competitive, positive competition inside the class. And finally, the last thing is, I think we cannot progress until unless we measure or monitor the progress. So helping the learners with data, the analytics about how they're progressing compared to, let's say, comparison to some of the other peers, without naming anybody, obviously, but keeping it anonymous. What are the areas they need to improve on? Then if we can integrate, psychometric and cognitive assessments, then helping students saying, what are your cognitive strengths and what kind of strengths does this subject require? For example, I could be very good in problem solving, but biology needs more memory, right? So I think combination of that, it's something which needs to be done very scientifically. There is no standard technology that can just be implemented. I think the learner and the teacher or the institution has to carefully think what kind of course are they teaching, and then in that context, stitch together a learning environment with these activities.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So actually, want to go back to Karan and ask one more question. So you're a business graduate from ISB, and you're a techie as well. So what are your thoughts on this build versus buy? And what do you look in technology platform before adopting it?
Thanks for the question, Durga. I think this is one of the most important decisions that one has to make on the job. Now that you've mentioned about my MBA degree, let me start by saying what most MBA grads or consultants would. It depends, and it depends on a lot of factors. When you think about building things, one of the most important things that you need to figure out is the resources. The question that you need to ask is, would you be able to get enough quality resources over time and build things in-house or not? And while we answer the first question, we also need to understand that that application needed for the industry, for the education institutes are going to be a lot more different from a CS grad project or an internship project, where a few computer science colleges may incline towards. We're talking about professional production builds in which you cannot afford to have a lot of errors. Still, I think we are not in a position to answer the question unless we take another thing into account. That is the criticality of the application. What goes down when the software fails? If my application is solving a mission critical use case, such as a online video conferencing tool where my online classes are going to be held, or an online examination module for that matter, I would want to be very confident of my development team before I take the decision of building things in-house. While we're still lingering on the question, unfortunately, the industry does not seem lucrative to a lot of folks in the IT. That is something that we also need to take into our consideration. And if we have crossed all the above hurdles that I just spoke about, then building may, and I would still say may and emphasize on may. It may seem like a good option, but again, having said that, I would reiterate that it's a huge commitment and that needs to be honored. Now, when you're also going with the build option, you may only want to build those products that are very customized to your own requirements that are not maybe available in the market. So that is something also you can maybe think of when you're building something in-house versus buying. Buying on the other hand seems to be an easy way out, given the challenges and the hurdles. However, I feel many educational institutes and universities have gotten their hands burned because of one good sales pitch. On the first look, the enterprise product that you're opting for may seem like a best solution. One solution that fits all your needs, but that's definitely a mirage. One solution fits all product does not exist and may never. On that thought, a mix of built and bought or multiple vended software products which have a strong internal integration may seem a good idea, as Hemant just spoke about. Anyway, we.
Sorry, go ahead.
When we are buying, there is one. I'll just keep this short now. When we are buying a solution, there is one easy way to identify everything. Identify which the winner is. When you go for a demo of the product, just ask them what are the new features and the modules that they've added to the product deck in the last 1 year, last 2 years, and so on. If you think that the product is growing, then the company is going to grow and the company is going to cater to your requirements well. So that is apart from everything else, requirement gathering and matching is one thing, but it's good to understand what the product landscape looks like. Back to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Karan. Just a quick one. I want to ask There are so many questions, Dr. Mahesh, to you and Hemant to you. I won't be able to repeat all of them. It may require another 60 more minutes. Can you, I actually lost touch. I'm just going through the, what is it? Okay, yeah, so this is yeah, so I think Dr. Mahesh, can you explain the examination evaluation process in this new world?
Examination or assessment is a very important aspect of any to evaluate any effectiveness of the learning that has happened. So here, usually we used to have a traditional classroom examination where it was more of writing experience. But now with the modified situation in the virtual classroom, it is going to be more interesting. The students can give the examination sitting at their places. They are totally proctored. That is meaning is that everything is being monitored remotely. So they cannot do any unethical or malpractices while giving the examination. But however, there is one more challenge that can be done using that Bloom taxonomy, that we can give an open-ended question to the students where it needs a lot of application-oriented questions where they cannot easily copy from a textbook and write out the answers. So it is really, this is basically more related to the training of the faculty who needs little smart in putting up the questions. So this is how it can be addressed even in the virtual classroom also.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Mahesh. So with that, I have a few other questions which I'll probably compile and then pass it on to Dr. Mahesh and Hemant to respond back individually. So with that, let me actually pause here, and I wanted to invite Hemant again to be able to close it with some of the comments, and then I'll take it over and then have a vote of thanks. Hemant, to you.
All right, thanks, Durga. Thanks for being an amazing, host and moderator. You wear multiple hats. One side technology, and on the other side, you're moderating amazing discussions. So, and thank you to Amazon and AWS to making this happen. The larger role AWS is playing in facilitating technology adoption is well appreciated. Thank you to Dr. Mahesh for taking out time to join. He's one of the most progressive education leaders we work with in terms of how he takes decisions and the kind of support he provides. Thank you, Karan, for taking out time. I think one of the best technology leaders we work with across education institutions. So a simple advice to institutions who are struggling to make the right decisions, try reaching out to Karan and take his help on making the right decisions. And the way, Karan and his team bridges CollPoll and the university and facilitating those discussions. So thank you, Karan. Something we want to also announce, and we've been thinking about it. So I think education institutions are facing three big challenges in adopting technology. The first challenge is that a lot of them have tried adopting and making decisions about technologies, and they have taken wrong decisions. So they have burnt money and wasted time with technologies which have not worked out, and they have this fear of adopting new technologies. Second, I think with academic years getting stretched, examinations not getting over, new semester not starting, institutions are in cash flow issues. They are not able to collect fees. They are not able to, and while the costs continue to be, especially institutions which have large infrastructure, students are not there, not paying for housing, but their investments are there. So I see institutions having cash flow issues. And third, a lot of institutions just don't have enough people who understand technology. So they have the will, they have the aspiration, but they don't have the right set of people to guide them on what. So keeping these three ideas in mind, I think 2 weeks back, we started a small private offer where we extended a platform, a limited platform to certain institutions at highly discounted cost, so that their cost of experimentation is low. They get to experience technology, and they get to see what value or return is it offering. And we're very glad that some of the top universities of the institutions of the country have already signed up, and we've sort of already used all the number of slots that we had. So today, with taking this opportunity that AWS created, we would be very happy again to extend that limited product utilization offer to institutions who would like to use learning management or examination or certain parts of the platform that they can experiment, see what value it adds. So today we would love to announce that we'll be happy to engage with you if you're interested in knowing more. Please, you'll get a poll, I think, right after this. Share information with us, and we'll be happy to have a conversation. With that, thank you to everyone for joining, and we have, I think, an amazing number of people who are active in this session. So thank you for taking out time on a Friday evening, and a happy weekend to you.
Yeah, thank you, Hemant. And one just last poll that I would like to just get into, and then we'll close into it. All right, with that, I just want to, again, just convey my thanks to all three of you for joining this, and all the audience who have been able to patiently listen, and awesome questions from everywhere. Sorry we could not cover all of them, but certainly we'll kind of convey these ones in a different format to you folks on these questions. And I think overall, if you look at it, the changing times actually throw at us some very interesting problems, and then we need to figure out the way it is. There are solutions which you can actually use to be able to continue your learning for the students. Are there issues? Absolutely, from accessibility of the devices to the connectivity issues, or the real experience that teachers did not have experience in talking in front of the camera. But at the same time, everybody starts with something, and I think they need to start somewhere. They would be able to convey that. I think that's very important. With that, thank you everyone for joining it, and at least from my side, yes, have a good weekend and stay safe.